All right, welcome to the discussion for chapter 13, Heaven and the Earth. In this conversation, Omra and Aphraar are having a conversation about how the spheres are designed. And I've noticed that even though the spheres are from 1 to 7, and then there's the section 8, I'll put on the, let me share screen here. See maybe that could work. Just give me a minute to find the right page and then I'll share it. Yeah, it's already there. Share screen. There it is. So this is the diagram given in the book, page 7. And so we will have a conversation about, our attempt to understand these spheres and the conversation as described by Aphraar, which I feel is different than the spheres as described by Mary and Jesus. And so there is the section, we'll come back to this page a few times as we talk. But, ultimately, this is the spirit's body's progression. And then outside of it is the soul. The soul, like once the soul goes through and releases all of Earth's influence, then it keeps expanding, but that's beyond this circle, as far as I understand it. Any comments about the diagram as you see it before we start going through all the individual ones? I can't see Lisa at this page. No, I can now. Yeah, so no question. Should we just go ahead with the, yeah? Okay. Do you want me to keep the picture on, or are you okay with me closing the screen? Keep the picture on? No, close the screen. Okay, I got it. We're trying to guess what your nods means, but I can bring it on quickly. Oh, Virginia, go ahead.
I don't really understand it, so I actually don't have any questions because I'm not really understanding it. Okay. Is that the Earth?
Ah, good point.
The condition of the Earth, and then everything is with us. Like I'm
okay.
Lost.
So this is supposed to be the Earth.
Oh,
this is the sleep state. And then this is the summerland. This is where the children, pregnancies, abortion, young children that passed before they were able to make a choice for themselves, a choice between, sin or non-sin, before they could have, I guess, engage their own will. That's where the children goes. And then this 8 here is supposed to be the sphere where when there were humanity that didn't get an opportunity to progress in their development and understanding, so they're kept aside so that they're not affected by the rest of us who know how to sin, so that they can be helped to progress slowly towards God. That's my current understanding of the picture. And then Earth is in the 4th sphere according to this diagram, and then a lot of us end up going down into the hells and then going up slowly as it's described in the book. And then Aphraar, when he passed, was just on the edge there on the 4th. And then by the time he found his mom, he was kind of like at the top of the 4th, which according to Jesus is top of 1st sphere, beginning of 2nd sphere. And the house of rest and all of that is on the 4th. And then he's been progressing 5th, 6th, 7th. And then I guess the 7th sphere that he's about to enter is going to be like just past here. And then he goes towards Enlightenment at 8. Did I get this right? Oh, and Michael, you had raised your hand. Do you want to comment? Oh, you mute, Mike.
Sorry, I was hesitant to try to interpret it, but I'm trying to picture it 3-dimensionally.
Oh, wow.
And it seems to me like the Earth, I think what he's saying is that the Earth is in, I mean, the spheres are not shaped like crescent moons. They're real spheres, and the Earth is in all of them.
Oh, really?
Um,
Okay. I have no idea what I'm looking at. So yeah, I'm looking at a two-dimensional diagram here. But well,
and
according to Marian Jesus, the Earth is now in the first sphere, right? Its collective sphere is in the first, according to their description of first.
but you know, if it depends too on an individual soul condition. So
Yes, right.
doesn't that bring that sphere into, you know, these things are all intersecting, it seems. Even the celestials are, I don't know, could we say that the Earth is in the celestial spheres to the extent that celestials come? Maybe not.
I like your question. That's really good. I think collectively, because there are like over 8 billion people, it does have some kind of a collective, mathematical impact. But then each of us can be in different sphere, and that has to have an influence on Earth while we're in physical form. That's a really good question. Yep. Okay. No idea. No idea.
Okay.
Thank you. All right. Any comment about that, Virginia? I've been trying to look at this diagram for years. So yeah. Okay. Oh, Michaela, go ahead. Sorry, I didn't see you.
I kind of felt a bit similar to Michael, like, because what made you say that in this diagram the Earth's in the fourth sphere? That's not how I.
Oh, okay. I'm just looking at the diagram, and I think I read it. Because from Earth, then you can go into a sleep state. Okay, maybe I'm wrong. Okay, yeah. I don't know why. I think I'm looking at a diagram and I'm taking it literally that this is a fourth, and then Earth is. So that could be what's going on.
Because I sort of see it in the same way, Michael, like these, the difference, like you were saying, it's the difference between still having that attachment to Earth and then letting go of all attachments and going into the eighth sphere. So this is just what's related to the Earth, these spheres, but it's not that the Earth is right in the fourth, is kind of how I see it.
Really?
Yeah.
Okay.
I don't know.
So
like we could be in one of those positions on the
moved up and down into each of us moves up and down through the spheres, but then Earth itself could be anywhere on this. Okay, that kind of makes sense. Yeah, you're right, that does kind of make sense. Okay, where do I feel that's what I read? I'm gonna let it go. Michael.
One thing that seems fairly certain to me is that 10th sphere, where what we would call Summerland, is associated with the higher spheres of progression.
Yes.
It's not, 1 through 4 are kind of the lower, or maybe 1 through 3 are a little bit lower than the others, and it's the drawing does not link Summerland to that. So and also that green eighth sphere is not really associated with the higher spheres. So
yes. Okay.
I think, yeah.
I mean, yeah, he's attempting to give a description of something that is like way beyond all of our comprehension. So at least there was some kind of an idea, the idea that we can progress and that there are places that are protected from everyone's influence. Like that, the diagram's already revolutionary. And now we are Marian Jesus giving the more updated information of spheres that we're hearing intellectually. So all right, and thank you for that. Yeah, that is putting some things into perspective. Okay, and Summerland is supposed to be at the top of first sphere, second sphere, right? From what Virginia?
Sorry, I heard Jesus say that Summerland was at the top of the first sphere.
Right, perfect. Yeah.
But that's why But perhaps a lot of this has changed. Like you've said, this was drawn a long time ago.
Well, no, but I think that what Aphraar is describing is not the sphere as described by Mary and Jesus.
Mhm.
I think so.
Okay. Thank you.
Yeah. House of rest would be in the second sphere as described by Mary and Jesus. Which is why, yeah, I'm just going on a limb here saying these are different, just different numberings. But then, Mary and Jesus, when they get to continue the discussion on the books, then we'll be able to expand on it, which would be great. Okay, let's start with the conversation on the first thing we outlined. So, page 111, the first step of disobedience taken, the downward road become easy, momentum increases till at length the crash comes and the reckless prodigal find himself hauled among the swine. He is lying in the lowest hell a child of earth can reach, on the verge of the uttermost, in the way of death, but he cannot die. So, any comments about that? What are your comments about that? Keeping in mind that I was kind of informed, on one hand, I'm feeling how unimportant I am, so I feel kind of terrible. On the other hand, I'm told that we've got a beautiful group of people here that are gathered to learn from us, which is a little intimidating. But share your thoughts, share ideas. This is going to help a lot of us collectively explore. Michaela.
Just in regards to that phrase of that no one can die, but we're like at the edge of death. Yeah. That's something that I'm struggling with a lot at the moment, like this desire to kind of not exist anymore. And I can see that it's this sense of, well, really it's rage and not wanting to deal with my experience. But I find that hard to take. You know, we can go to these horrible depths of hell, but we have to just take it. We have to choose to change it. Yeah. And I struggle at times.
Okay. Yeah, we get to places where we wish we could die or just disappear and not exist anymore. But even then we can't. There is no escape from whatever we got to work through, eh?
Yeah, that frustrates me at times.
Yeah, you describe it really well. I can feel the powerlessness around it.
Yeah.
And the agony, the depth of the agony, we got to somehow endure.
And to just get to that point where you're going to choose to do it, you know, that blows me away.
There's a plan in mind. There's a plan in the design. Maybe it gives us faith that knowing that, you know, especially for some of us, maybe our own guides had to go through that. Somehow they got through it. So can you imagine how much strength and courage that gives us? Yeah. Thank you, Michael.
The tone of his voice reminds me of those warnings that I heard as a child that if you smoke on a cigarette or puff on a marijuana, it'll lead to hard drugs, and then all sorts of bad things are going to happen, and then you'll be broke and living on the street, and then dying an early death with sores, terrible sores. So I feel like he's really trying to make an impression on people, to warn them about not heading down that path. But because it's so complex, he simplifies it. And
yeah.
He's missing a lot of intervention.
Thank you. Virginia.
I saw this quote today that totally relates to this. I don't know why it came up today. And this woman says, all those days you felt like dust, like dirt. Did you not know what the Holy One can do with dust?
Wow.
And it said, and she spoke a little bit about if you can't find God, if you can't see God or feel God, look lower. because God could be with you on the bathroom floor, because that's where
Wow.
she found herself. And I just thought this is totally in tune with this.
That's profound.
Yeah.
Wow, thank you.
That's what when I read this, I'm like, that's what I feel like, that's what she's talking about. And that's what this is saying. Even in the depths of hell, God is still there. God is still with you.
You will never be abandoned.
Yeah.
Who wrote that?
Nightbird.
Nightbird.
Have you heard of her?
No.
She sings this beautiful song, this woman who's had cancer several times, and she's doing okay, but she's shares some really profound things. I
What?
think she's really made her way, and she's just in a place that she's putting out things in social media that really resonate with what we learn with divine truth, really, which is great.
Is it spelled with N, Nightbird?
It's one word. It's like NIGHTBIRDIE, and it's
IRDIE?
just together. Nightbird. Yeah, yeah. I can put it down in the.
Yes, please. Thank you. Michael.
Thank you. In the second paragraph, he says, the penalty of deliberate wrongdoing must first be paid. The contumacy of rebellion has to be uprooted and its effects made good. I have a different sense of the word penalty. I mean, on first reading, it seems like punishment, which is what I would expect in hell. But what I'm thinking is, in God, my understanding of turning a person around who's heading downhill is that the pain, there has to be some pain, or pain is very effective in getting our attention.
Okay.
And contumacy is a stubborn refusal to obey or comply with authority. So I think what he means by penalty is just enough pain to make a person stop their willful disobedience and begin to feel the effects of what they've done.
Right. So the pain, the experience of pain is what you're calling penalty. Okay.
Yeah, it's not like there's a price for every sin I do, but it's all rehabilitative.
Yes. Rehabilitative. Okay. I like that. That's a good word. Thank you. Okay. All right. Virginia just put night birdie. That's the person. NIGHTBIRDIE. Thank you. That's a very beautiful quote. That's goes straight to the heart. Okay, so rehabilitative. I think that for me, I've felt that it was a punishment. So I guess we have to kind of process the emotion of I feel I'm being punished in order to get rid of it. And then at some point, as the emotion is gone, because we have to release the experience of being punished, and then we will be able to see the gift of the penalty as God has intended it. I also see it as like if you have caused pain to another, it's like you've also now earned the pain you caused another. So now you gotta kind of release, discharge that pain from your soul so that it can be gone from your soul, and now your soul can like literally left out. I also see it as that. Yeah. And then, yeah, anyway, too big a subject for me to talk about. We're in preschool tossing coins at this topic, when, at some point we're going to get beyond it and then have a deeper understanding. We're just looking at the waves and not studying the physics of waves at this point, is a description in the chapter. Okay, are we ready to go on to the next one? The next quote was page 112, leaving their lower depth, where the soul might sink to extinction and cease to be, but for the everlasting arm upholding it. In the second sphere, we catch a glimpse of the ceaseless strife and combative struggle which goes on in the endeavor to escape the scorpion lash of an arousing conscience. Comment? It's a tough one, eh? I think this is where our self-judgment starts to, Michaela?
I feel like I'm kind of at that point at the moment, where I'm really just 1 minute I'll be crying about how much I really want to know God and want to connect into what is the truth, and the next minute I want to go and like fulfill an addiction, and it's this back and forth between, and then I'm questioning what's even the truth. Do I really want it, or I just find it so confusing, and I really look forward to the day. And this is kind of my prayer at the moment, when I trust that God is here and that God is a part of this, because at the moment I just really, I really waver with that trust. And is there a point along the path, like soon maybe, when we actually trust that God is a part of this?
I wonder if that's second sphere on or top of first sphere on, maybe. I don't know. I think when we get to the house of rest and we're like finally recuperating, we're like, okay, a big phase is over. I don't know. But then we're still on earth. So what is that going to feel like? Lisa.
Gosh, I mean, I guess what I want to say, I'm sorry, I'm a bit out of it today. I'm just going through stuff. I just feel fuzzy. But I mean, the best way is to experience God directly by asking from a deep, sincere place, can you show me your love? Can I please receive some of your love? From that heartfelt, truthful yearning.
Okay.
Then when you experience it directly, like it is certain. From that moment, you have that beginning of faith that's there. But I guess when you're struggling with so much confusion and rage and hopelessness and all of that, maybe it takes the stripping phase until you can have that really sincere, heartfelt yearning to call out, like from your desperation, God, can you please just love me? May I please receive some of your love? And then from that place, that it'll all open. That's what I guess I wanted to contribute.
Yeah. And also that if we are asking and praying and not receive, like right now, that's been my prayer. It has been like, God, are you even involved? I don't feel like you're involved in my process right now. Like, are you here? Are you part of this right now? Is the exact thing I'm asking myself. So my faith is that I'm processing through the corrupt faith about it. That the corrupt faith has to be released. That God, I feel you're not involved in my day-to-day life. That is what it feels like. So that hopefully that by processing those emotions, you're releasing the corrupt faith, and then there's room for the true faith to enter. But I think you gotta maintain that intensity, that longing and passion of I'm not gonna give up asking, even though I feel I'm receiving no answer. You gotta hang in there, potentially. Yeah.
Can I just add to that? Yeah, I've done a lot of that kind of praying where it's like, where are you? Where are you? Where are you? Like that, like calling just from such longing and pain, like, where the fuck are you? I need you, and then going into the grief of like, I don't feel you're there. And then as soon as I just surrender into that emotion, then I can feel God. I surrender into you're not there, and then I feel God. So it's just so ironic. It's such a it's such a weird contrast that the minute you let it go into the pain emotion, then the connection can be made with
Lisa, I want to suggest that when you're actually feeling your rage and your hardship about not feeling God, you're actually releasing the emotion so that you can receive God.
The block, yeah, exactly. The corrupt faith about God is what needs to be. And I go through phases where I'll feel God for, weeks, and then suddenly like I don't have a connection. And so there's a new layer of corrupt faith around God that needs to come up and be exposed and be felt. And I found those are the most painful emotions to feel, is the pain of feeling God doesn't want me, not worthy of, or God's left me because I'm not good enough, or whatever it is. So
Exactly.
yeah, but that's the juicy stuff where like the real faith builds, is in that continued, okay, show me, where are you? I want to feel you. I want to feel you, God. Show me. May I have that first connection, please? Show me, you know. Yeah.
Keep asking. Thank you. Okay. Other comments, Michael. Oh, you're muted. Thank you.
Just found it, the button moved around. And so I'm less heart-centered than my sisters. And I'm trying to
Agree.
draw some,
Agree.
thank you for pointing that out. I'm trying to draw parallels between my understanding of what some of the gates or transitions between the spheres and divine truth would say. And isn't from the first to the second sphere, don't you become willing to experience all your emotions? So like you're not afraid of feeling emotions, but you still have them, and in the second sphere you're feeling them?
Sweet. I don't know, but okay. Yeah, there's a certain level of truth you enter into, right? Isn't the first about I'm willing to speak the truth at all times? Is this first to second? And second to third is wanting to feel how God feels about me. And then, but that's a really good point. At what point are you in that transition of, okay, fine, I'm willing to feel my emotions. Though I haven't felt them yet, I'm willing to. That could be what that progression is. Yeah. Thank you.
I thought in the first sphere, so I am entirely could be wrong, but I thought in the first sphere we were still afraid to feel all our emotions.
Well,
then, or and then in the next area, we still have the emotions, but it's okay to feel them. And then I thought the second to third might be that the all importance of being truthful in all occasions.
Okay.
And if that kind of lines up, then just looking at the paragraph on page 112, he talks about in the second sphere we catch a glimpse of the ceaseless strife and combative struggle that goes on in the endeavor to escape the scorpion lash of the arousing conscience. So maybe that's saying, maybe that's corroborating that he's feeling all kinds of emotions in that second sphere.
Yes. His definition of second sphere.
Yeah.
Yeah. Right.
So just an idea.
Thank you. Michaela.
A couple of things. Just what Michael said then, to me, like that second sphere that he's talking about kind of sounds like it's sort of still in hell. You know, you're still, yeah, right. Okay, cool. Because because I feel like I'm in hell still, like trying to battle this, this recognition of the truth around what I'm doing and what I've done and who I am and all that kind of stuff.
Yeah, and that I don't want to feel the pain and a lot of tantrum and rage about knowing where I'm going through emotion and like, why do I have to feel that one? And okay.
Resistance, isn't it, really, this section? Yeah. And just what Lisa said before about like longing to God and saying, I want to feel you, I want to know you. You know, I do that, and I feel like this is this stage as well. I do that, but then I question, is that even real that I want that? Or is it just that I want to feel better right now, or I want something to change in my life, you know? And so I find I really have so much doubt around the truth of what I'm actually putting out there, you know?
Yeah. And it sounds, how would that work? I think that it is good that you're willing to look at, it's like picking up each rock and looking under it. You're picking up each pieces and not having anything be unexamined. From my perspective, I'm going, I don't think that's a bad thing, because then at some point you're going to have to come back and pick up those rocks again. And so you're willing to look at it, you're willing to feel about it. If you don't judge about yourself, if you're going, maybe I'm not being sincere and I just want nice feelings. Okay. Like don't go into the self-judgment about it. Probably is what it is.
Yeah, okay.
This is the place where we're so stuck in self-judgment and self-punishment, which then enables the unhealed spirits around us to, in their justification, to then attack us even more because we're agreeing with them.
Yeah, I was reminded the other day when I was going through this doubt about what I was even feeling, was what you said to me about, you don't judge any emotion, you know, you let it be, and then you find out afterwards whether it's real or not, I guess.
It was Robin who said, if you didn't judge any emotion, you wouldn't need facade. And I'm going, ooh, that's a good one. Can you imagine if I didn't judge any of my emotions anymore, I will have no facades. I won't have any need for them. That's so attractive. So just passing on what you said. Lisa has unhand her hand a few times, so we're good? Okay, thank you. Good conversations. This is becoming, it's just like torturously enjoyable. That's what it feels like right now. Okay, so page 112, in the third stage, we learned the story of a very typical case of this condition as we listened to Mary's recital of the harvest of jealousy and were instructed as to the means that are used to lead such souls from the poignancy of their agony and darkness of their despair into the light of freedom and hope. So in the first book, we talked about harvest of jealousy, where Marie had gone through her experience of, I guess, rehabilitation. And now maybe she was in self-judgment and she didn't want to come back into society. She didn't want to, she was very like shaky and very like raw. And so they had created this beautiful sanctuary for her where they could slowly get her to move on from what she has gone through in what she did to her, I guess, soulmate, in jealousy, and that he married somebody else, and all of that conversation that happened in that relationship. And I was really moved with how Kushna was tenacious and did not give up on trying to convince her that her penalty is over and that she needs to come back and to repair and to progress. So I guess she, in herself, punishment, didn't want to leave, and that here are our guides was just so passionate about saying, you've done your time, come on out now, let's help you recover. And I can actually almost relate to her rawness and how shaky she feels. There are moments where I go, I think I know how she felt in that place when she was being helped to um, heal. The first time I read it, I was full of judgment towards her. And now I'm going, I can only pray that I can also receive such sanctuary as I try to come back out. And yeah. So comments? Lisa.
I heard that Marie was actually engaging the process through the natural love path.
Okay.
In other words, it was the law of cause and effect acting upon her soul over many, many times, because she wasn't engaging in the connection with God, which would have been a lot more quick but very intense process of healing, where it would have been pulled out of her quite much more rapidly. I heard that just recently. I think Jesus was talking about it or something. So yeah, it was long and agonizing, and every time she told her story again, she passed out and more came out of her soul, but it was like she was choosing to go that slower route.
Yeah. I can only imagine the conscience and the shame you feel about it make you not want to engage God. I can feel it. That's how I feel inside of myself. I'm like, I don't want to talk to God right now. I can't stand to have God show me the full extent of my sin. Like, I can't cope with that right now. So that's self-judgment.
But if you,
I don't want to feel
yeah, You want to feel what, Mila? I'm sorry.
I don't want to feel more of my conscience. It's bad enough as it is.
Well, and the thing is, though, if you were realizing how amazingly compassionate and loving God is, to the full extent that God is, or to that much to trust, you would just go to God's arms and surrender eventually and just cry in that shame and have it pulled out of you. I mean, when the trust and faith in God is strong, then we can go through immense emotion quicker, is what I'm starting to learn.
Yeah.
So that faith and the false beliefs about God that's why Jesus and Mary keep pointing that as the most important thing we can work on, is our blocks with God, and working on feeling and releasing those emotions that we have that block us from just being that kid that just goes and leaps into mother's lap and just snuggles into her breast and has her just hold you and pour love into you and pull it out of you, and you cry it out quickly.
I'm not there.
No, I know. I'm not. There are moments I can do it, for moments, but yeah.
Thank you. But I can feel my guides are helping to educate me to release the false beliefs about engaging with God when my conscience is pricked. I can feel that there's an education going on to release my blocks to it. So it's always like, as we're blocked, like when I joined mediumship group, I realize now that the main advantage I saw happening for me was that I was being re-educated with how the correction system works, so that a lot of my blocks were released by doing that. So yeah, there is a very active system in place to correct us in our beliefs so that we will engage God. Like for me to look at Marie's journey in the first book, now I'm going, okay, when I accept, and well, the worst thing that's going to happen to me is that I'll be in a place of sanctuary where I'll be helped to release and remember what happened, and that I will be treated as the patient who needs to be helped to recover. And I'm thinking, okay, if that's how this is going to be, you know, maybe I'll be okay. Like I'm slowly um, gathering faith that I can allow such a system to work for me. So there are many times when I go, the worst thing that's going to happen is that I'll end up in a hospital where I can be treated as a patient, because the way I was treated is my biggest trauma. The way I was treated. So I have a lot of feelings about how will I be treated going forward, and I can feel how carefully my guides are helping repair that perception in me. So a lot of work goes in place. Michael.
Thank you. I was thinking of that line where it says, the means that are used to lead such souls from the poignancy of their agony.
Yeah.
And so I hadn't reflected on this before, but I'm remembering that it's easy. Jesus has commented that people find it easy to talk to him because he doesn't have judgment.
Yeah.
So I'm thinking about Aphraar going to meet Marie, and the angels, the guides encourage her to tell her story, and she gets into it and she experiences all those emotions again.
Yes.
And it overwhelms her soul, and then she has to recover.
Yes.
So that's the healing process. She's able to, on the natural love, like you pointed out, Lisa, she's able to say it in an atmosphere without judgment,
Yes.
and get it out of her system. And that's one of the means that they use to help her there.
Yes.
And it's dealing with truthfulness. Maybe that's a hallmark of that area. I agree with you that his description doesn't line up with what I understand divine truth to be, but maybe there's some relation there.
Oh yeah, absolutely. And it's very encouraging to know, because Jesus said, well, that's first sphere, and now we're learning in the first sphere, here's the evolution from darkness slowly to gray to twilight. Like here's lots of steps involved. In the first sphere, which I feel is like the most important sphere of our development, like we're gonna have to get through this freaking sphere. Excuse me. And once I'm out of the first sphere, it's like, oh my God, it's over. I can see why people stay at second sphere for a while. I used to think, I'm just going to squint through. No, we're going to take a little bit of a rest in second sphere. Whew. Okay, Michaela.
Just when you're saying about the worst thing that can happen to me is I could be in this place being supported. It just made me feel like what a shame that it's just so far away from that on earth. You know, if people admit to what they're doing or even go into their emotion, they get rejected and all of that. And it's just frustrating, you know, like we have to die to get this shit. Like, why does that, you know, that just seems shit to me.
Well, this reminds me of when you guys were talking earlier. How can we create the environment of non-judgmentalness for ourselves so that our hurt children, our hurt selves, which are all children, can heal? That's the process I'm in right now. I'm trying to create the atmosphere. What do I need? Because even the addicts, the addicted, you know, the one that wants to feel important, the one that feels superior, the one that wants to dominate. I'm working with that part of me that wants to dominate. If I can look at her as a child and go, talk to me. Like I'm trying to create the environment in which these hurt selves can be received with care, where I can see them as patients who needs to recover. Like if we go back to, I want to go back and watch Mary and Jesus' work channeling with Constance. Like, how did I talk to her? She was in the middle of sinning, in the middle of damaging, of projecting rage at men at like for hundreds of years, I think. And how did they treat her? What was the environment in which she could be in that she could just drop into like dropping it, like she just dropped it. And next thing you know, she was on the fifth sphere in like 6 months, and you're like, how could that happen for her? How can we create that for ourselves so that we can heal our hurt selves? And then by creating that for myself, I'm hoping that that will then extend to others, to the spirits around us, to other people that we encounter. So I've kind of like paused my process in order to develop this hospital where I can allow my hurt selves to heal. Because in my facade, I'm damaging them. So I think it's a very, very important work. Once that process is established, I'm thinking then the rest of the work can be pretty quick and easy.
I imagine as well that in that, if you can get to that place for yourself, you're really opening up to your guides and allowing them to be that for you as well.
Because they're the one, they are treating us like that. And maybe what I'm doing for myself is actually my guides teaching me to create that environment. I mean, obviously I don't know how to do it. So my guides are the one modeling the behavior so that I can do that to myself. Or maybe it's so that my facade self will not step in and abuse the hurt self when my guides are trying to heal. Maybe, lots of maybes. Michael. Selena first? Okay, Selena, sorry, I can't remember who was first.
Yeah, I kept putting the wrong hand up, so I was doing thumbs up. Brain's fried. Okay, but I'm good now. So was Michael saying that he doesn't think that what happened to Marie happened in the third sphere? No, that's not what he was saying. Oh, okay. Because it always kind of surprised me that she was having, because the third sphere is pretty great.
Yeah.
But that she was having that law of compensation. It's actually inspiring to me, that story, that she could be kind of suffering a sin that was pretty kind of an obvious sin, like a really overt damage to other people. Like it was pretty bad. Like, so you think by that, like that would kind of be happening in the first sphere, that type of sin. You know, that's sort of, so I thought, wow, third sphere, and she's having that kind of sin in a pretty nice environment, and she's getting all this support and help.
No,
And,
no, but she's
and
already done the penalty. She's now
pardon?
recovering. She's already paid the penalty. She's in a recovery phase.
She's in a recovery phase, so she's paid, but that's not penalty, all this crying and weeping she does. It's not her compensation. So that she paid the penalty in the hells already
Yes,
for that. So now she's just feeling her remorse.
yes, and being helped
Okay.
to leave. Because
Yeah.
this-
Okay.
we wake up to what we've done. We're the one who don't want to leave the house. When
Yeah. So yeah. Basically, she just developed a desire to repent her sin, like to not rationalize or justify it anymore.
Yes,
And that's,
be able to help others learn from it.
yeah.
Because naturally, when you've done certain sins, you then somehow have a desire to assist others in some way in that.
Yeah.
that
Yeah.
area.
Yeah. So basically, she was just really now in the third sphere dealing with the sin of self-judgment.
The
So
third sphere is going to Aphraar, but I think she's probably at the top of her sphere. somewhere.
Okay. Yeah. So it is not really, you don't really believe it's the third sphere,
No,
as
no.
he says. No. Okay. All right. Yeah.
No. That's why I'm trying to like correlate his description with Mary and Jesus' description. I'm
Yeah.
like, it's not, I don't think it's parallel. So,
Yeah. Yeah.
but I'm just guessing here, just doing guesswork.
Yeah.
Okay,
yeah.
Michael. Oh, you mute. Sorry, you mute.
Unmute.
Yeah.
Okay. This is just speculation. Selena, I would agree with you. The stuff she was going through sounds like first sphere, but maybe the a hallmark of the third sphere is the absolute ascendancy of truth, and that they've just imported that principle to the first sphere to help her there. So that's speculation on my part.
Okay.
And so, Mila, for what you were saying about taking a time out and being in the hospital, and you said a lot, but I'm thinking, you know how in setting up this chapter, he was saying that the way the laws work, our color and maybe even our smell shows what condition we're in, and the same thing applies to the spheres. And in Marie's case, there's the penalty, and then there's the judgment, or in our cases, we heap judgment on the pain. Law of attraction exacts a real penalty or pain, and then we heap shit on top of it. And I'm thinking that we could probably learn that guides can see the difference and tell the difference between self-inflicted judgment and the real pain. And they could tell somebody, hey, if you can put away this self-criticism, your condition is good enough that you can go up to the next sphere, or you can let go of this.
Yes.
We probably prolong our agony with our own self-judgment. And there's got to be the way the laws work, they probably show that to somebody who is sensitive enough to see it.
Yes. Good point. Thank you.
Okay.
All right. So moving on to the next. Page 112, reaching the fourth sphere, we emerge from the subterranean dens and caves in which the scenes of the soul's first purgation are situated, and find ourselves at the foot of the mount on which I stood so soon after my arrival, which, from what I've learned from Jesus' description, he passed at the top of the first sphere. So I'm going to continue to the next part, page 113. In the upper part of the sphere, we reach the first buildings that are to be found in the spheres: the home of rest, where we heard the magnetic chorale, and such institution as the home of the Assyrian. Then, as we cross into the fifth, we reach the city of compensation. Okay, so comments. Virginia.
I've heard Jesus say before that when we die, the first place that we go to for a little while is not your
Right.
resting place, right? So I didn't realize that you started in the fourth sphere, and then you'll go to wherever it is that you need to go for healing.
don't compare the sphere as with Jesus' discussion.
Okay.
This is a different fourth sphere than what we've learned.
Yeah. Okay.
Um,
Thank you.
Michael.
I think he is now in the second sphere.
Yes.
That this fifth sphere he's describing, you know, the first buildings, these holy, the corral, and then didn't he say Veon was his mother was living in the second sphere when she passed over? So I'm guessing that the other stuff is all gradations of the first sphere,
Sphere. Exactly.
and now we're in the second.
Exactly. Yes. Michaela?
One thing that came to mind just then when you were reading it out was that, you know, when we pass and we're in that place, we have people come to us that want to help us and want to teach us about God's way, and we make a choice as to whether we're going to listen to them or not, and receive their help. So I wonder if this is kind of that place as well, where you make more of that commitment to work with the help that's available to you.
Yeah. Huh. Right. This is where you're kind of going, how long do I rest? Take my time exploring this realm. But then there are people coming to talk to us, to inspire us, to kind of get our curiosity going. And then we choose, like Vaughn chose to take a time going through the second third sphere, and Aphraar just zipped right through. Yeah, okay. So yeah, that's a good point. Yeah, we're gonna have to kind of remember to, when we get to that place, to stay curious. Be like a child. What else? What else? What else? What's over here? What's over there? What is in that one? What's behind that hill? Where's your house? What does that look like? How do I get there? Which is probably what a child would be like. You know, I'll be like, to my guide, I'll be like, Melissa, where's your home? Oh, it's way over there. You can't get there now. Well, then how? I want to come and visit you. I want to be good enough to get to your house. I guess that kind of curiosity would be helpful. Michael.
Thanks. Michaela said something that triggers an idea. Appreciation is part of it too. Like a lot of help, I'm sure a lot of help comes to me, but mostly I don't appreciate it. So I don't realize the gift that's being given, and I don't take it. But so a quality of this childlikeness and being able to proceed maybe in the spheres to realize, oh, these people know what they're talking about. They care. They've really given me something that can help me, and then to feel some gratitude and a real emotion in myself. And I think that would make me more inclined to accept help when it comes.
Good point.
I have a big streak of rebelliousness that motivates. You asked me how I am at the start of the call. I was going to say, I just realized I'm rebellious, but I felt naked to admit that. But rebellion is the root of a lot of my sin.
Yes. And they have to be experienced as tantrum to be released. I believe you still got to process them out as a tantrum and get them out. Yeah, thank you. So, because one of the quotation that I picked out for our conversation was Aphraar saying, Jesus saying, you have to be childlike to enter the kingdom of God, or kingdom of something, exact phrase. So, and I was like, how are we going to have time to talk about it? But here we are, talking about being childlike. And that's a good point. That childlike nature we have is a straight way up, isn't it? If you start to get curious and excited and want to see what's out there and explore and ask how and why, because that's you engaging your desire, and desire runs the show. So it's going to take you going really fast. Because Aphraar is very childlike after he passes. He just have question after question. He didn't even get to visit his mother till like the end of the book, because he just got so distracted along the way. So there's kind of something about becoming childlike. I'm just appreciating from listening to you how powerful that childlike state is. Good point. Thank you. Okay, so I'm just noticing that I have only 15, 20 more minutes for our conversation. And Page 114, we're talking about this eighth sphere. But he who has commanded the fragments shall be gathered so that nothing shall be lost, holds the heathen, uncultured, and degenerate souls to be intrinsically of equal value as the cultured, and have therefore made just as suitable, considerate, and appropriate arrangement for their perfection as has been made for others. All right, what are your comments about the eighth sphere? That is kind of like a separate section so that those that I'm thinking about people that were probably like in the caveman's time phrase of life, or those that grew up in very isolated cultures and didn't get to be exposed and stimulated to grow. So they probably haven't sinned a lot, but then haven't developed the desire to I don't know how to explain it. I don't think I'm explaining it well. But there is a place in which they can be helped to develop slowly, while being separated from those of us who are, earthbound and have strong desire and motivation to sin, because then we would corrupt them naturally. So, any comments about that? Michaela? Well, are you mute? You're mute.
Yeah, I'm mute. Sorry. Can you just unshare the screen? Is that okay?
Oh, yeah.
So could that be like people with disabilities as well that just know? Because I really didn't understand this section until you just said what you said.
Right. I wonder
It could,
about certain timeline in humans' histories where we had certain phases of people who, why do I seem to know this? Have I heard this from somebody? People of certain, like the Stone Age, maybe people that didn't or couldn't develop much, and you can't just culture shock them into seeing what's out here. They need to be slowly helped to develop while maintaining their innocence. I seem to think, but then there's a really good question, like people with disabilities. But people with disabilities in nowadays time is due to their parents' sins or multi-generational sin. I seem to think that in their sleep state, they're still getting to be developed because it's removed from them in their sleep state, and they do get to have a certain level of development and growth.
and why wouldn't that be the same for like the cavemen, that in the sleep state they're having that experience of learning?
Yeah, good point. Yeah, I mean, I actually don't know the answer, so I'm just trying to guess here. Yeah,
I get it.
but it's like it's a beautiful creation by God to help certain state of civilization to be able to grow without being corrupted along the way, so that they can be protected and help to develop slowly. I think that's quite beautiful. Michael.
I also hadn't heard of this, mentioned like this. Maybe it's just a plane of the first sphere where the law of attraction gets innocent people kind of together.
Yeah.
And they never maybe they never attract people that want to prey on them.
Yeah.
Or there could be protections too.
I think there could be protection.
And I think you said in a previous week that there are large portions of the spirit world or of the hells where people they haven't learned that aspiration or desire moves us forward. They're missing some important.
Right.
So maybe this is similar to that.
Yeah, but that they're probably in the first sphere, but not the kind that is the what's the word you use, the rehabilitative type of sphere. They're outside of anybody else's. Can you imagine if they were in the regular first sphere? I mean, the rest of us would just go and just attack them. Like, so I think that they deserve to be in an isolated space where they can be protected. I think, yeah, that sounds fair. Lisa.
It says they know nothing of the standard of right or wrong. And then I'm questioning, because God has put a conscience in all of us. Is this just that they were so thwarted in their development that they had no whatsoever ability to develop a conscience, or it was so precluded in them, it was so clouded over their own conscience, which lets you know, hey, no, that's not good to hurt your brother. So I'm confused about this, because it says they had nothing of any standard. They know nothing of any standard of right or wrong, these people. And so how does that fit in with each of us having a conscience mechanism inside of us?
I don't think it's the damage or the suppression of conscience or inactivation of conscience. I think it's a timeline in which they existed and the stimulation or lack of that.
Okay.
Or even the culture they developed at. Where
yeah, it must have, like Jesus has spoken of periods of time where people only lived to be 20 years old because there was so much moral degradation. So maybe these people were just in so much confusion and they had no real any chance of knowing what was true and what was not, what was right, what was wrong. So it's hard to relate to, because we have so much ability to sin willfully here. So it's very different from what I'm personally experiencing on this earth, in this earth life right now. So it's hard to understand. Yeah.
So I'm gonna make the next discussion. I'm gonna include the sleep state, the Summerland for children, and the rest of the progression as one conversation, because in my current existence, I feel like the first year is the longest night of my life. It's gonna go on and on forever. And then after that, it is happiness forever. It's like, what is that Disney concept? Happily ever after? It's going to be from then on. So, so I'm just going to put them all in one section. So, Summerland, sleep state, and sphere 2nd to 7th conversation, discussion. When you wish upon a star, aim high, folks. Comments? Michaela.
In the sleep state, we can be in different spheres, right? Or is it just a separate?
That's what we got from the story going on, when we have somebody hanging out with Aphraar who's actually in her sleep state, hanging out all the way until the 7th, helping people out.
Oh.
Yeah, that's so, yeah. You can be.
But that's where we can be is based on our condition, though. The same. Yeah. Yeah.
But then it seems that when she wakes up, she comes back into, she was pretty kind of constrained by her earthly belief systems about religion or something. There's something you just had mentioned once. So she was not willing to be expressing those higher understandings in her physical life because of certain belief systems.
Okay.
But yes, sleep state seems to be like a gold mine that we're not benefiting from. Like there's things we're learning in the sleep state that we're just not harvesting to live while we're on the physical plane. Like there's so much we're learning, so much we're figuring out that's like not being, it's like we have all this stuff sitting in our savings account and we're just not pulling it out. We're not using it. That's what it feels like to me. I'm quite frustrated. Selena.
I'm not sure that's true.
Yeah.
That we're not, just sometimes I just get feelings about something that happens. It just feels like it could have been organized somehow.
Yeah.
You know, like things kind of fall together in a way that the attraction is just the way it comes. It just feels really organized. And I feel like maybe there is more that we carry just with our intention in the sleep state, perhaps, you know, that as long as we stay, you know, humble, open place, we can actually see those little clues a little better because of the intention we created in the sleep state. I do sometimes really feel that there's more here than,
Yes. But
you know.
imagine you waking up in the morning, remembering exactly everything.
Oh yeah, like that'd be awesome. Or not.
and many times I go to sleep, I make a list of what I want to work on during my sleep state. I would actually say, okay, here's what I want to learn. Here's what I want to figure out. Tonight I want to go hang out with my spirit guides, just in case I need to make it obvious and learn about something. So then when I wake up in the morning, I'm like, I figured something out. I just don't know what it is, but I seem to know something I didn't.
Yeah.
About something, but I don't remember it. So maybe we're gonna have to, I mean, to the point, I'm just wondering, going, maybe I have to make a list of all my blocks to why I don't want to remember my sleep state and work through them each one by one.
Yeah. Like I just even feel like I get just like flashes of ideas in the morning.
Yeah.
Like just little things that I'm getting better at grabbing them than I used to. Going, yeah, that's important, you know, like don't just let that slip away, you know. Just just thoughts.
When I talked to Michaela, because Michaela have done some sleep state help assistance to others, that when I talk to her, she sounds as if she's having better memories of the sleep state. I think because of her passion about that. And I think is that the chapter 15 or something coming up? Michaela's chapter?
Mm-hmm.
But that maybe as you engage with it, she's the one person that when I listen to it speak, she's remembering her sleep state like more and more. So it's kind of cool.
Who's that?
Michaela.
Right, Michaela. Oh,
yeah.
That Michaela. Okay. Yeah. Wow.
Lisa, go ahead.
I just wanted to say that it seems like there's a lot of juice in the very first moments of waking up after coming out of sleep.
Yeah.
For me, the emotions that are there in that moment, the longer I can just really just allow and soften to them, because I find that it feels like it's almost easier to feel them in a sleep state. And then I come back here into this physical existence and there's these layers and blocks and being in the earth realm again and all the pressures against you on earth and my facade on earth. So there's something really juicy and important about those initial moments that I've been trying to work with and just allow and soften, but they're really intense. They're very intense for me. I don't know if other people experience that, but the emotions are very, it feels like waking up in the throngs of my innermost depths of pain sometimes. So yeah, but I know that maybe could be a clue to start uncovering some of my sleep state memories, perhaps. Either that or I'm grieving in my sleep state more and I come back here and I'm like, oh, frick, I don't want to do it here. You know, I don't want to feel it here.
Be good to work through that. Those are really good blocks to list out that I don't want to remember because I don't want to have to process those emotions in my awake state.
Yeah, and I'm getting curious about what is it that I'm so afraid of here? Why is it so much harder here? I mean, I know I'm afraid of attack. I'm afraid of not being supported in the world. I'm afraid of standing out and being different the more I am on this path, you know, the more I get attacked or whatever. Look at Jesus and Mary, they're getting attacked all the time, death threats, whatever. You know, there's that.
I would call that a demand to not be attacked. I'm not going to do it unless I don't be attacked.
Yeah, I hadn't shifted it into that mode of having a tantrum about it, but it's more like it feels just like a fear for survival, like a fear for safety and feeling very alone and isolated among the crowd. And there's all those things that come up when I come back to Earth. That
those are demands instead of fears.
Do they?
Just be curious to see, is it, I'm calling it a fear, or is it actually a demand? Because if I didn't have the demand, the fear could be something else. for me, they are demands that I'm very sensitive to how I'm being treated. So I have a lot of demands to how I should be treated.
Right, right. Yeah, well, I could explore that. They're often pointing out to go have the tantrum, and then that helps get into the fear even deeper. So yeah.
Thank you, Lisa. I'm just going to take Michaela's comment here, and then I'm going to have to close. Go ahead, Michaela.
What I don't really understand is, it's the soul that's driving the spirit body and the physical body.
Mm-hmm.
So, like, why, when I've done work with you in the sleep state, you'll have an emotional experience there, but it will be a few days or whatever until that trickles through into the physical expression and release.
Yeah.
And I don't really understand, like, if it's the soul that's having that emotional release, why does it take that time to trickle through into the physical experience?
I believe that it's the addictions I have in my physical state. Like in my physical state, I have an addiction to how I want to be treated by people. I have an addiction for comfort. I have an addiction for security. That these are addictions I have in my awake state that then something I have to push against. That kind of
Yeah.
It's probably what it is. We have addictions that we want in our physical condition. Or if I want to be, like Lisa's pointing out, I want to be included in society. If I have that addiction, then I'm not going to allow things that will make me act in which I will not feel included in society because I still have that addiction I haven't released. Could be something.
Yeah. Okay.
All right. Wow. I didn't think we have anything to talk about. It's like, what are we going to talk about with this? But I feel like we've had an honest discussion, and I hope a lot of people benefited. A lot of people around us benefited from this. I think it really helps for people to see and hear the struggles we're in and what it's like. I think it really helped others to realize that, this is what it's like. And maybe they can also see how our guides are helping us through our struggles, and that help others. If only we didn't judge our emotions, we'll have no facade. That's gonna be like, for me, that's Robin's like, put it on a t-shirt. That's what I'm aiming for. All right, thank you everyone for a good conversation. And then the next one is in a couple of weeks, and I think it's Michael. Yes, it's Michael's. Okay.